So I hope you don't mind that occasionally I share some article that I think is very appropriate at the time and probably something that we could all use. And so I wanted to share something by Margaret Kimberley from the Black Agenda Report. And she's an excellent writer, as are all the people who write for the blackagendareport.com. So please join me with this. And it's about fighting COVID-19 with mass action and a people's strike. So Margaret says, the people's mass fight back against the system that failed to protect them from the coronavirus and corporate predators begins May 1st. Masses are suffering, but the black misleadership class behaves as it usually does, playing their part as a fake opposition to Trump. The passionate debates surrounding the response to the COVID-19 pandemic are useless if they don't lead to a larger fight against capitalism. Hear, hear. The shutdowns of business and schools intended to stop the spread of coronavirus have created 22 million newly unemployed people, and that's increasing every day. That means those workers have lost their health care. They may not be able to pay rent or mortgages to buy food. All efforts must be addressed towards addressing their needs and working towards transformational change. And by the way, speaking of rents, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL, is having a number of rental strikes, rent strikes. So please check out their pages and check out their website and think about joining in. COVID-19 has exposed the fraudulence of American democracy. The neoliberal austerity regime even targets unemployment benefits, the one program which is thought of as being untouched by the relentless race to the bottom. There is no right to housing or healthcare or workplace safety in this country, and millions of people are suffering. The safety net is threadbare. Now is the time to narrow the focus. It is relevant to debate how this illness should be prevented and to ask hard questions about every decision being made by the federal and local governments and by the medical community. But spending hours on social media pointing out that Bill Gates is as big a criminal as any other multi-billionaire is a waste of time. It is also useless to pick and choose expert opinions which confirm the biases we already have. It may be interesting to wonder if COVID-19 occurred in nature or whether it quote-unquote escaped from a laboratory in Kansas or in Wuhan, China. But those arguments don't pay anyone's rent. Quote, there is no right to housing or health care or workplace safety in this country and millions of people are suffering, end quote. Most black workers don't have the option of working safely at home. Half of all incarcerated people are black and trapped if COVID-19 or any other communicable disease is spreading. When black people go to hospitals, they are more likely to receive inadequate care or no care at all. The masses are suffering, but the black misleadership class behaves as it usually does. Its members give speeches on the floor of Congress and play their part in acting out fake opposition to Trump. Meanwhile, they go along with their leadership who offer up a maximum payment of $1,200 to workers in a state of crisis. While leftists wage rhetorical war on social media, Donald Trump's army of white supremacists were hitting the streets. They demanded that the states ease lockdowns, and they brought along AR-15 assault weapons to make their point. While leftists wrung their hands and argued for and against vaccination, the shock troops were out in force. The Trumpite gun-toters are never in fear. The police are their friends, and their feelings of entitlement are acknowledged and indulged. Not so with those on the left who must work hard to acknowledge themselves and to believe they can bring about real change. But unfortunately, not everyone has been overtaken by inertia and confusion. Cooperation Jackson, Black Socialists in America, and other groups saw that the people were already taking matters into their own hands. Amazon, Whole Foods, and Instacart workers held work stoppages. Transit and sanitation workers did likewise as they demanded protection and hazard pay. The call for a people's strike beginning on May 1st, 2020 is a significant call to action. On Friday, May 1st, there will be protests organized by Communications Workers of America in Atlanta and Nissan workers in Mississippi who haven't given up the fight to unionize. Tenants are working together on rent strike demands. There is international solidarity in the United Kingdom, Italy, Canada, Germany, and the Caribbean. May 1st is a celebration of working people around the world. It is the perfect moment to begin the fight for economic justice, which has accelerated due to COVID-19 pandemic. Making the people's strike a force to be reckoned with should be on the agenda of everyone calling themselves a leftist. Absolutely. The minutiae of coronavirus news must take a backseat to the hard working of organising. And I've mentioned this before in my podcast, that if there's any time to do something, it's when capitalism is on life support. And that's what's happening right now, and they're doing everything to resuscitate it and keep it going so that they can just continue on screwing the American public and basically the international community that isn't the 1%, isn't in the political class, the capitalist class. They're going to just keep on going the way they are and screwing people more and more and more as time goes by until it's a feudal system. So, this is the sort of this is the exact time where, as Margaret Kimberley says, not to be focusing on all these other things, but focusing on striking while the iron's hot, literally striking, general strikes, boycotting, all sorts of things to show who really has the power. If the capitalist class didn't have the military and the police force behind them, who are really there to protect them in the end, the armies are just capitalist armies, basically. If they weren't there, the capitalist class would be shaking in their boots. So this is the time to do something right now, because there's more of us than there are of these small number of selfish, greedy politicians, selfish, greedy oligarchs who have way more than they should and who don't care about you and I. This is the time to do something. This disease presents an opportunity to disaster capitalists, the police, and the surveillance state. Google and Apple plans for, quote, contact tracing, end quote, which is just another name for Big Brother, basically. It's just Big Brother surveillance, via smartphone is a slippery slope made to look like a public benefit. Right now in Australia, they have Scott Morrison, the right-wing wannabe authoritarian leader. He's trying to get everybody to download this app. It's a quote-unquote contact tracing app, which is really just another way of increasing the surveillance and control over the country. It's probably not necessary at all, but anything to bring in all these measures that we wouldn't otherwise entertain, except we entertain them underneath some sort of catastrophe. And that's when governments take advantage of these sort of catastrophes like pandemics and like 9/11 in the United States, that sort of thing. They bring in these authoritarian type measures so that you won't buck up against it because there's a catastrophe and you're too busy panicking. But if leftists can't fight for rent freezes and pay increases, they are unlikely to thwart the designs of the technology hegemons either. Every issue related to the pandemic can be addressed with a successful mass mobilization, and May 1st is just the beginning. The People's Strike will take action on the first day of every month, and it will be needed as all of the crisis of late-stage capitalism become more evident. It's a pity, actually, that it isn't a weekly thing like the Yellow Vests did. They did weekly things for over a year, and that really, really brings it into the forefront. This is the moment for everyone who claims they wanted to see a just and truly democratic country. The fight can be reinvigorated beginning of May 1st, 2020. So Margaret Kimberley's Freedom Rider column appears weekly in the Black Agenda Report and is widely reprinted elsewhere. She maintains a frequently updated blog as well at patreon.com/Margaret Kimberley, and she regularly posts on Twitter at Freedom Ride Blog. She lives in New York City, and it gives her email address. So anyway, I think that's an excellent article by Margaret Kimberley. That is exactly what everybody needs to hear. That's exactly the advice that everybody needs to do. And I would also check out the Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL, in the United States, because they have various strikes that are happening, rent strikes. If everybody who's disenfranchised by what's happening right now and who's been abandoned by the government, the US government in particular, if everybody did general strikes and got together and really organized, if people did that, they could not ignore. They could not ignore, because you would bring capitalism completely to its knees. Completely, if everybody did it. And that's the thing. We need to recognize that we have the power ultimately. We have the power ultimately. There are more of us than there are of them, And if they want to bring in their armies or militarized police, then they will, and they may well do. That shows how frightened they are if they do that. So anyway, I hope that you will join Margaret Kimberley if you live in the United States. Join her in these various actions that are happening May 1st and beyond, and really apply pressure, because they are not going to give up. The capitalist class are not going to give up until it's a feudal system where they're the lords and you're the serfs, and you just do whatever they... And it's almost there. It's almost there. So don't give them what they want. When you hold the power, don't give them what they... And they're looking for learned helplessness in you. They want you to feel helpless and feel like, what's the point in me doing anything? They're going to do whatever they're going to do. They will... It always is a massive people's movement that bring down this kind of thing. It's historical. They're wanting you to be apathetic. They're wanting you to feel like you can't organize. Well, here are some suggestions right now and groups that are doing it. So join them and end this dreadful, dreadful death machine of capitalism. At the very least, make them frightened. If they're not afraid of you, which they're not, because they think they're just having a good old laugh all the way to the bank, all of them, Trump, the whole lot, the Democratic Party, they're all having a great old laugh and leading you to believe that Joe Biden's going to do something leftist. He's going to do something for you. You know, this is the sort of nonsense they're putting out, pretending like they care. Just blow them all off and do this. General strikes, boycotts, and join and organize. Do something. Get out from behind your devices and get out onto the streets, and let's do something before it's too late, because it's almost too late. They've basically got it all sewn up. If people don't do something now, there may not be many opportunities in the future. They're doing it like this. They're doing it so they can take everything away from you and also surveil you to the nth degree, just like Big Brother. And here we are carrying our little devices around that are allowing them to surveil you as well. I mean, but what other choice do we have in a way? If you want to, you know, these days you have to keep connected. But we can get out from behind and put the bodies in the machinery, as Mario Salvia said. Put your body in the machinery and jam up the works, you know, striking and the whole bit. Anyway, thanks for watching. My name is Trish Roberts. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the notifications bell, otherwise you won't receive notifications when I drop a video. Thanks so much for watching. Please be safe and please consider going vegan. It'll be one of the best decisions you make in your life. So thanks for watching. Till next time. Bye for now.